Hello, dear listeners. Today, Michael Carnegie has something special for you, a business opportunity that might just change your life. Imagine working from the comforts of your own home or anywhere in the world with just your laptop, computer, or smartphone. Intrigued? Well, stay tuned because Michael Carnegie is about to unveil the secrets of an exciting online business. Friends, this isn't your typical business. In fact, it's so unique that you don't sell a single product. Instead, you share the incredible benefits of this opportunity with others, helping them kickstart their journey to passive income. And the best part? It's automated, running 24/7, 365 days a year. So what's the catch? There isn't one. No need to stock inventory, handle shipping, or deal with customer service. Just sit back, relax, and watch your income grow. But how do you get started? That's the easy part. The entire training program is video-based, making it accessible to anyone regardless of their background or experience. And if you ever find yourself in need of guidance, mentors are there to support you every step of the way. Now you might be wondering, what's the real payoff? Well, here it is. More time with your family. Picture never missing out on your children's important milestones, creating countless memories due to increased travel time, and having the financial freedom to save for retirement and even that dream home. Imagine a life where you're not tied to a 9 to 5 routine, but instead you're in control of your time and your destiny. This is not just a business opportunity, it's a lifestyle change. If you're ready to take the plunge into a world of unlimited potential, where your success is only limited by your ambition, then this online business may just be the game changer you've been waiting for. To learn more and start your journey to financial freedom, visit the website at www.michaelmcarnegie.com. That's www.michaelmcarnegie.com. Don't let this opportunity pass you by.
The world is a troubled place. We must find time to save the human race. Unity and empathy has no place among the human race in this transition. When we live in love and harmony and show respect with unity, only love can set us free to fight injustice wherever it be. Just said the hungry must be fed, but man can't live by only bread. We have the future in our hands. Let's take the trot to the promised land. Calling Nyankopong, calling Nyankopong, calling Nyankopong. From the middle of the graveyard to the center of the sea, our ancestors are you and me. We are the great ones from the beginning of time. We have the heart, the soul, the body, and the mind. Calling.
Yeah, we were born with all of the necessary. Grand Rising brothers and sisters. Grand Rising. Read them up. Read them up. Good to see all of you. Brother Danny. Sister Judith. Brother Michael. Brother Akeem.
Grand Rising. Grand Rising.
Hardworking Angela. How are you doing, brothers and sisters? Good to see you. And for those who are joining us on our YouTube channel, thank you so much for joining us. I am sipping on some okra Irish mash. Um, what name again? All kind of nuts, bag of mixed nuts. Guys, I am on a diet to really change up my life. I want to change up my life because I'm getting older, and as we get older, more mature, should I say, our engine is not turning over like how it should when we were young. So it's very important for we to encourage some of those recipes that High Chief Gary put inside. I would recommend that we revisit them. Yeah, I notice we get caught up in oxtail and rice and peas. In America, they call it shitlins. The cow tail is shitlins. The chicken back is shitlins. I know these things are traditional food where we grew up in our house, yes, but one of the main problem is some of these beans and enough of these rice and a lot of these animals that usually eat grass alone, they are tampering with how they bring them. So we are having to deal with a lot of secondary food. We don't get first food anymore. You don't get a cow that eat total grass anymore. You don't get red peas that grow without the fertilizer anymore. And the chicken them worse, cause them chicken wing they poison us to the core, but it is advertised with barbecue sauce where it look mouth watering, but it's actually a ticking time bomb. The amount of acid that we are disposing in our body on a daily basis. So, as I said, we are going to get deep into that sort of eating thing myself, but I hope we have followed too. But away from that, Grand Rising Brother Earl, thank you for coming.
Grand Rising, everyone.
Those is Sister Crystal, she must be multitasking.
Grand Rising.
Yes. Brother Michael, he's multitasking also. And as usual, we have to get it going. Now tonight, I would love to talk about status and codes. Status and codes. Anybody is familiar with those two words? Laws and regulation. Because I find a lot of people are quickly intimidated by some word amount. Somebody tell you, say, you understand? And automatically you go in your shell and say, boy, they must have some authority. Laws are different from regulations. Status and codes are what leads up to law, but are there are procedures before these things become law. Agreed? So when you hear them telling you you have to buckle up because it's the law, in some places it is not even a law, it's just a regulation, a code that they operate under. So every police say you have to have on a seatbelt. But as a national, I'm going to show you tonight some of the ways that we can understand what's happening around us. I will also be touching on the ILO because I need to go deep into it, chapter to chapter, code for code, because a lot of us here, when we get um, approached by agents, whether it be custom, police, courts, some of us are shitting in our pants, excuse the language, because we don't know the codes. We've been hanging around, but we don't know the codes. And I was proven in that capacity today where I heard somebody say something in a crowd, and it was one of my chief, and I was dumbfounded because we cannot liberate brothers and sisters if we don't know how to liberate them. All right. So tonight I am going to go over some of the screenshots that we have, some of the presentation that we're going to put forward when it comes on to the topics that we're going on. Any questions? Right. Gary, I know say you know about your codes and thing, you know. I know quite a few you've shown that you're doing your studying. And,
Oh, by the way,
yeah, my brother.
just a little information me I showing at the ear for everybody when we read the books them and I go through.
Yeah.
Every police station is like McDonald's or KFC or whatever franchise. Them have them on them own franchise. Each single police station.
Different precinct or one agenda.
Exactly.
Hustling and fraud people as much. Remember, every morning before the police, these are supposed to be peacekeepers, and we're going to go into that too, because we need to know the difference of these agents. I think you're mixing up. Sometimes we're mixing up custom with with legal department when it comes on to police. You know, custom and police are two different things, but are the said agent working for the said corporation to attain the said goal, which is to enter into a contract with your estate. As long as they can establish a contract with your estate, ching money. That's why they have to drag us in front of the court now, because they figure more or less that we're minors. We don't have no we don't know our right. The next thing again, the state doesn't have a right. Who have rights? Anybody can tell me who have rights?
Us, we
Okay,
the people.
thank you. So when you say you get your rights from the state, you're not getting no right. You are the primary states, brothers and sisters. Without us, nothing matters. But if we don't know about the matter that they're putting us in, we're going to be caught up. All right. Let me get into this teaching lesson. Hold on, brothers and sisters. Rule, this is law, and it's talking about laws and regulations. What's the difference?
Hi, and welcome to Your Gov Non-Part, Political Science and Government for Everyone. This is the second in our series on how laws are formed. In our last video, we talked a bit about bills versus resolutions and how bills and some sorts of resolutions become laws and other resolutions do not. Before we get into the really elaborate process by which a bill or a joint resolution passes through the long chain that makes it eventually become a law, we need to touch on another topic, and that is the difference between laws and regulations. Laws, for the most part, we'll say start as a bill. They pass the houses of Congress. They're signed by the president. They're sent to the archivist. They become archived, and they are laid up in the USC, the United States Code, which is the huge group of books that is all the statutes that create our law. And that is technically what a law is. Regulations are issued by agencies. Now, these can be dependent agencies or independent agencies, which we talked about in a previous video. Regulations are used by dependent agencies to carry out or to maintain specificity in the intent of the broader scope of a law. In other words, you have a law, which is a bill passed by Congress, and the regulations by different agencies are used to give those some guidelines and some meaning. However, regulations, telling the difference between a regulation and a law is very difficult because regulations do carry the full force and effect of law. Violation of a regulation will carry some punishment, and therefore you might have some fines or jail time or other serious ramifications, just as breaking a law, violating a regulation. So it's hard to say the difference between a law and a regulation. They are technically, very, very technically different things, but in actual practice, they are essentially the same because they both carry the full force and effect of law. Now, regulations are laid up and also in a huge set of books, only this is called the Code of Federal Regulations. It looks a lot like the USC, but it's all regulations. It's the other part of our body of laws. Dependent agencies such as OSHA, which reports to the Department of Labor, or the FDA, which reports to the Department of Health and Human Services, report to cabinet members that report to the executive. They issue regulations on their area of jurisdiction. And in the future, we'll do a video or series of videos on jurisdiction, which is another relatively complex concept. But in their area of expertise, they will issue regulations. However, because they are dependent agencies and the top of their chain of command is the executive, their issuance or non-issuance of regulations can, to some degree, be influenced by that branch of the government. Independent agencies are different. They also issue regulations which carry the full force and effect of law and the same penalties and punishments for breaking those regulations, but they do not report to one of the three branches of the government. Now, here's a good example for you to understand that we can probably all relate to, and that's the United States Postal Service. The United States Postal Service is an independent agency. It doesn't report to the executive, it doesn't report to the legislative, and it doesn't report to the judicial branches of the government. It is an independent agency, and yet it does issue regulations. We've all been in a post office, and we've seen the posters that say, here's the list of things that you cannot ship. It's against the law. It's against regulations. It's against Postal Service regulations to ship firearms or flammable fluids or certain types of chemicals. Well, violation of this will carry some punishment. I'm sure you know, and the Postmaster General can lay out fines. He can I'm sure lay out some jail time for violation, depending on how serious the violation is of these regulations. So here you have
Gems, your pass. Who the man say a while ago can arrest people?
Postmaster General.
Mighty God. We think that it fly overhead in Akeem. We think the stone they fly overhead. Now, what again when man say? A man said these are not laws that is put down, these are regulations. But to the power of a postmaster general to make laws, they don't have to go through Congress nor nothing. You hear what the man said a while ago? A
Them
postmaster.
independent.
I am getting my postmaster general ID next because these are things that we can use under the common law because the general post office falls under what? The common law. The common law. That's why we don't have to. Our government, as far as Nyankopong notifying the postmaster general is enough. It is enough. So let me continue because we have so much power and I want us to know these power.
Have a situation where a regulation, it's not a law technically. I mean, somebody out there is going to say, well, regulations are not laws, and technically that's true, but in practice it's not true. Regulations carry the full force and effect of law. So if the Postmaster General says, thou shalt not ship gasoline through the United States Postal Service, and you do it, it's the same as breaking a law.
I want to also remind us that this is how you can make citizen arrest also. You know that. Yes, through the post office. It's like how Nyankopong is a national group that we notify the post office and the necessaries. We are the law now. We are lawgivers. As in reinforcing the laws, the natural laws. If you see somebody, just like if you see somebody out there and beat up somebody, you know that you can detain them until in time other forces come. That's a form of lawfulness, common law, kick in and kick. So I just want to bring the similarity.
Regulation is very much the same as breaking a law. So it's important to understand that that is a huge piece of where our body of laws comes from. So you don't necessarily have to have an act of Congress, to use a cliche, to create a law, at least in effect. In technical terms, you do, but in practice, you don't. The agency can issue it. And a small organization, a small agency such as the Federal Elections Commission only has 6 members. They can issue regulations with those 6 people, which have the full force and effect of law, and violation of those regulations.
Anybody catch that boundary a while ago? Anybody caught that boundary a while ago about the 6 people, individual coming together to make the reinforcement of law? Just what I said a while ago. So when people are going to tell us that Nyankopong don't have any bearings and Nyankopong can't this and can't that, Nyankopong, the sleeping giant, have not wake up as yet fully, but Nyankopong have these rights too.
So those 6 people can carry penalties. So it's need to understand that our body of laws is not strictly from legislative and executive branch with judicial oversight. However, you must remember that regulations, like laws, are subject to judicial review. There have been regulations, many regulations, which have gone to judicial review and been found, no, you can't do that. It's unconstitutional or it's in violation of something else, and have been therefore overturned. So I hope this helps you understand more of where our body of laws comes from, that it's not just from the passage of legislation, but it's also from regulations issued by agency. And you're going to hear an awful lot in the news these days. We're coming up on a federal election. You're going to hear a lot about regulation, about the small businesses being overregulated and whatnot. And those are not necessarily coming from bodies that are under the control of the executive branch or the legislative branch. Those are coming perhaps from independent agencies. The Federal Reserve is an independent agency which issues regulations.
Federal Reserve is an independent agency that issues regulations. So anyone that is working for the federal government, is that a legitimate lawful agency?
Nope.
Okay. So can they give us laws?
Nope.
Can they give us regulation?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, they can, because it's a private company, but we treat it like a public company, but it's private. And as long as you're in contract with a company or an organization and you sign off on it, you have to abide by their rules and regulation.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So there are about 74 independent agencies that issue regulations which are not under the direct control of the executive or the legislative, or even under the direct control of the judicial. They're only under the potential for judicial review. In other words, this can go to court and be reviewed as to whether it is a legitimate regulation. So hopefully that helps you understand more where our body of laws comes from, the difference between a law and a regulation, and how they are technically different, but they are in practice the same thing. So thank you very much for watching this installment.
All right. Any question? Any question?
Just coming.
Hi, Janet. Thank you. We were talking about laws and regulation on the tape. I don't want to play it back, but I know that Crystal just come. And it is very important that we know the difference between. If you don't want to say anything, I'm going to mute your mic so we don't get a disturbance. Thank you. If you want to talk, you just simply just make that initial. So it was about laws and regulation. And we wanted to show tonight some of the codes and status that we need to be aware of so we can approach the challenges much better. Would you like me to play back the tape again, Crystal, so you can see it from its entirety? All right,
No,
Sister
I
Janet.
watch it over.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, that was our first tip. I was asking if there's any question for those who watch it in its entirety. Any question?
Wanted to know the name of the group, the 6 people. He mentioned it was 6 people, and that were in charge of making the laws or enforcing it.
He
I
was
just wanted. What were they called?
no, it wasn't. It was a reference. He was saying that I'll have to watch it back over, but he was saying that 6 individuals combined together, and they have, like, say, it's 6 people own the light company in your community. They make the regulation as to how the light company to run. What are some of the specifics you have to get light from them? It is not lawful enough. Like they will tell us, you have to have this bill, you have to have that kind of. These things are just regulation. It's not lawful, but we walk away without challenging them. One of the main reasons we can use to challenge these people is that we're outside of their jurisdiction, and how laws come into effect is by jurisdiction a lot of time. So they might use I'm living in Fort Wayne, and they use some of the law tactics that does not apply to their regulation. But if I break it, like for instance, if I go in there and start make a bag of nice, say, oh, me not find this, I'm not go to that, they might be right to call the agent now. No, the agent is not going to charge me for disputing the regulations that they're put up. The agent is going to charge me for disturbing the peace. Now, if I want to get to the corporation who had these regulations, I have to bring them in front of a judge, because the judge now has the laws on the book and not regulation. You understood?
Yep.
Yep. So it don't make sense to go to the place cussing, say, oh, I know my rights and those things. Your right does not exist in that settings, because regulations and laws are 2 different things. And if you're going to stand up for the law, you have to show them how the corporation is breaking the law by infringing on your rights with regulation. All right. Any more questions? With people. Sister Janet, you're one of the main reasons why I draw for this topic tonight, because today your questions was very much needed, and I wanted to know where your headspace are as to all of the chiefs, because as I'm seeing, we are the liberators, but if we don't have the necessary tools to liberate our brothers and sisters as to knowing our rights through the statutes and the codes that they're operating on, we will not know how to lend that helping hand. All right. So this that I'm going to play now is the difference between code and law. You just hear the difference between laws and regulation. Now, codes and laws. Now, there are 2 things that we have at our disposal that we can find out about the codes as to dissecting it and knowing what it means. The ILO and the UCC, it is something that is internationally respected, and our principle and morals align with some of the rules that the CCC put in place. But as nationals, as I said always, that we base our existence on common law. Common law is the law of nature, not just water law, but land law, air law, land, air, and water. Spell
law.
Yes, so we abide by those natural laws. You cannot go against natural law and win. All right, let's get into the next one now, please. I like this class. We're getting somewhere. I want us to be on the same page.
And I say to the judge, now read the law. He says, law I just did. I said, oh, geez. This is the problem. You people are reading a stupid code. It's a codification by the legal society. Can you now read the public law? He says, what? The law that it was premised upon. What is it built upon? It's built on a public law. Read the law. He says, where is it? I just gave you a clue, Judge. It's premised, it's built upon law. Look at the bottom of the page. What? The bottom. Premised upon, built upon. Read the bottom. That's where you'll find the law. That's where your code is built on. On. You get it, Judge? On.
All right, so this is something that comes up a lot. What is the difference between a code and a law? Now, this example is courtesy of Vital. This is from the United States Code, Title 1, Chapter 1. Now, we're going to limit ourselves to Section 8. When you go to a section of the code, and you go all the way to the bottom, it'll say added public law 107/207 section 2 sub something A, and it'll tell you the year the law was written. In this case, August 5th, 2002. Now, if you want to look up the law, you can just stick that into Google, or well, usually it works on Google, and it'll link you right to the law. And if you look at it, it'll tell you when it was written. Sometimes there's a preamble saying why they were writing this law. Now, here's the point. The text of the public law and the code have to be the same thing. Otherwise, well, that would be good. Well, not otherwise. Okay, well, in this case, it's inserting a definition of infant. If you look at it, it says A in determining, B as used, C nothing in the section. We go to back here. It says A in determining, B as used, C nothing in the section. The U.S. Code and the public law it's based on have to say the same thing. They're not allowed to change it. It's useful. In particular, in this case, you can look up why they.
Everything froze, Rascal.
Oh, sorry. When an agent give you a code, what the first thing you do? Anyone? If a police officer give you a ticket, what the first thing you do?
You research it. What Clark code?
Why do you go to the clerk of court?
Because the Clark code about all the information that's written on it. You get
And
to know it's there, so you can
all right, go ahead.
you know how to address it before 30 days. So you wouldn't even have to go into court.
Why do you go to the clerk of court? Is because remember, you're not allowed to change the law to fit the code, people. Just like how they will say that you are driving. Are you driving? You're not driving, but the code word is driving, but the lawful word is
Traveling.
come on, my brothers and sisters. Come on, man. They are using codes spellbound in codes. So if we don't decipher the codes, you won't know. Because when you go in front of the judge and you put your case to the judge as to the driving offense, first and foremost, if you do not have a contract with the state, can the state charge you? Did you have a contract with them? No. If you take out a driver's license, that's a form of a contract. But at the same time, when you take out a driver's license, if you had done your status change and you're operating as a national, you're actually the beneficiary of anything that the contract signed on to underneath your nationality. We need to find these things and put them into context, brothers and sisters, so we don't put the horse in front of the cart. That is
Wouldn't
how.
you,
Go ahead.
would, as it talk about the driver's license, wouldn't you class that as non-disclosure?
Yeah, that's you don't have to show them that. That is when they persist and continue breaking the law. The next thing is they say it's a law to have insurance. Is that true?
No.
Okay, that's a code. I'm trying to show us the code and the law. The law and the codes are two different things, but as you just watched a tape a while ago, they will use regulation within the code to bring it up to law, and they will charge you because if it's
Right.
yes,
Yes. So you would go in front of the clerk of court to ask him, is it possible to that I can extend? You can put back the time of the court date, maybe 6 weeks, 2 months, or something like that, so you can gather yourself together and just whack them.
well, if you're going to take them to the courts of record, you go to the clerk of court, and then you can ask. But the only person that can give you a delay, two person that can give you a delay on your case is the agent that contract you and the one that is trying to enter your estate, which is the judge. You, as the beneficiary of your property that they're trying to take from you, it's not a common law court you're in. You're in a criminal traffic court. Two courts in one. That's why you have to ask these vital questions again. What courtroom is this? Is this a traffic courtroom as a civil case, or is a criminal case? And if the judge say it's a criminal case, what will I ask for next?
Is there a victim?
Show me the victim.
Mhm.
And if there's not a victim, I mean, it's a civil case, then you don't have a case. Common law jurisdiction. But as you know, I'm playing these things because if we study and crack the codes, we will stand a better chance to actually dissolving the case against your estate. Any more questions? Get back into it, please.
They wrote that law and blah blah blah. But why does the public law and the code have to say the same thing? Well, this is from the United States Code website, and it explains it pretty easily. The United States Code is a consolidation and codification by subject matter of the general and permanent laws. It's a consolidation. It's not allowed to restate the law or reinterpret the law. At a very basic level, all the U.S. Code is it takes all the random laws that are passed every year and it organizes them by subject and topics. That's all it is. So you can either refer to the code if you want to, or you can refer to the law. But they both say the same thing. The U.S. Code is just for convenience and simplicity. It's just an easier way of organizing all the laws. Otherwise, you'd have hundreds and hundreds of laws thousands disorganized, not my subject, and it would be a pain in the ass to read them.
Yeah, just that small snippet was enlightening us between the difference of codes and laws. Sometimes when you are being your estate is being uh attacked, for a better word, you have to know who is attacking you. What are they attacking you with? Because the first thing, when a cop pull you over, do you suspect me of committing a crime? And what is that crime? A lot of people don't ask those questions. And this is a universal method that is used globally by cooperative agents because they know that the uniform, the clown suit that they're in, you see the suit before you see the living man. No, I must pull it up at top. That's really weak. And you don't know, so that policeman out there. Do you know that there's different police, brothers and sisters?
Yeah.
You have narcotics for drugs.
Mm-hmm.
You have
Road traffic.
roads. All right. So if a narcotic police stop you, do you think he has jurisdiction to search your car?
Yeah, kind of search.
Traffic is not a traffic cop.
No,
It's
no.
not a problem. No, this is a problem. Even in the United States, you will find, say the highway, man, them not have certain right, like a man, them, but upon the ground in our community. I was going to New York one time, and my brethren didn't have a license. And him start panic because him a come up the road and somebody had an accident. And them time they were just a come up for it, and people fool. Because I say, see police, and them are going to stop you. And, the police was not a traffic man. And he didn't have any jurisdiction on the highway. He was a highway patrol, but he wasn't there as in a ticket capacity. He was there to maintain certain things on the highway. There are different police, just like how you have detectives inside of the force that deal with certain things. And they all have jurisdiction because of the codes that they operate under.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
So once we get familiar with those circumstances, then we can move forward. Any question?
No.
Greetings,
Greetings, sister.
greetings, respect, and blessings to all. Yes, I have a question. Can you hear me?
We're hearing you loud and clear.
Yeah. After yesterday, when I asked the questions about the codes and so forth, I went into the ILO and I was reading, and I read it before, but I never did dig deep into it. But when now I have to begin to understand the codes and the laws on my own. So last night I went digging in, and I even discovered under from Article 35, you can hear me?
Yes.
We're hearing
Yeah.
you. We're hearing you clear.
I discover from Article 35, 36, 37, and come down to 38. It kind of fit into as how I understand it, but I don't know for sure, but beginning to understand it, those articles kind of fit into what is happening to Brother Michael just now, because in those articles it telling you about Ras Gadites. I'll say out your name because I believe you overstand these things. Like it in an article, it's saying that if you live in a jurisdiction where your indigenous rights is not being applied to that jurisdiction, you have to go through some kind of orders where if say, you know, they kidnap you, you would have to go and you would have to go through such things as writing to, you know, certain people in government and things like that. So, and it's the first time I realized that there are states that are not under the jurisdiction, right? And I know before too, it brought me back to in one class when we were told that you have like 2 USA, right? You
Yeah.
have 2, and you have 2 Jamaica. Is that kind of understanding I'm getting into these articles, right?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to show you, that codes and status run the world. Laws
Yes.
run the earth. But as you said a while ago, you will have, like, for instance, Jamaica, the brand is a registered company and it owns everything that says Jamaica. So what we're showing people is that that company runs under regulation, not laws.
Mm-hmm.
You have to know the UCC code of conduct, where we can, because the laws and the codes are very similar when they're regulated. In other words, they can say, um, we're charging you for overspeeding. What is overspeeding? That's a code they've bring forth. There's no such thing as overspeed. Did you harm? Did you overspeed and crash and kill someone? Where's the victim? Did you drive and mash up a house? Where is the asset? What is it? So our job here as High Chief is to, when our brothers and sisters are panicking over the codes, we should know the law so we can apply the law to our brothers and sisters. As for Brother Michael and his situation, the UCC is an international recognized instrument. The ILO is an international recognized instrument by all partners, whether it be the corporate or the natural. So what we're trying to do is, with Brother Michael, he has certain rights. Now, the corporation doesn't give out rights because they're not a living man or woman. We're the one who make it. So he knows his rights. And if he knows his rights, we can challenge the state of the regulation and get him out. Because once you have made a status change, that goes to show that you've made a declaration. You have declared who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Any more questions?
Well, I surely
Yeah, I just
do
want to say,
learning, and I learned some things even from the questions that I asked yesterday, because if I don't know something, I'm not gonna pretend because it won't help.
No.
You will only get help if you apply yourself and say as is what you know you need to know. And I really learned some things since last night from going back in and reading and things like that. It's not the be all. I have a lot more to do and to go, but at least I'm getting a better understanding now of like the statute, the code, and those kind of regulations, right?
Yes, ma'am. And I encourage the chiefs, because as much as we sit under this kinder tree, learn, we're learning. There's someone else with a different question. Wanted to say something? Was it
yeah, I just
Danny
wanted
or
to say,
go ahead?
yeah, you know this, you know the code overspeeding. It sounds like an oxymoron. So because you're speeding,
Yeah.
You gone over. And then so you only for overspeed in that sense. But it's just it really just sounds like an oxymoron. I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It is. It is. Most remember, we're also operating under ignorancy to brothers and sisters. A lot of the ignorancy has become the norm. Can you drive a donkey? No, but you're on the road. But yet still, if you ride a bike and you ride a donkey, you ride a bike too. But yet still them tell us say you can't charge overspeed for riding a bike. Can you charge overspeed for ride? Can you charge me for going too fast on a donkey or on a horse? So I just there's a lot of oxymoron.
I'm I'm laughing because there was a few years ago this lady from church was driving. I think about she was driving slow
Yeah.
before the speed becomes 20 miles per hour on the road, and the police stopped her, pull her over, and said he was gonna arrest her for driving slow.
Mm.
And she said to him, "Officer, how much faster than this you want me to go?
No,
Look at
but
my
there's a code.
age."
There's a code, and that is why the man said a while ago that the regulation of the law to fit the codes, that's illegal. But people do not challenge. People are challenging the agent. Like the policeman will write a ticket in no power, Like
Mm.
can write a ticket from now till like come. When you go in front of the judge to stand up for your right, that is when power come in. Because you're going to present your corporation to their corporation, and they can't beat you because they have a fictitious strawman corporation while you have a living man or woman. All right, let's go. This one that I'm going to do is about the ILO, and it is a small for people who may be saying that that's God. We don't have no right stand up on we don't have nothing to base our claim on. This is the International Labor Code Ordinance, sorry, and it tells us about what it is, what is some of the rights that we have through it, even within our workplace. That is why you find out a lot of regulation. People have to give benefits for sickness, benefits for injury, and these things. This is what it's about, and we study it to the max so we can apply it. All right, let's go, brother.
Welcome to Narvi Academy. Again, I'm here with you with a new topic, and it's International Labor Organization. Let's see what it is. The International Labour Organization is a United Nations specialized agency. The International Labour Organization sets labor standards, develops policies, and devises programs promoting decent work for all women and men. Formation. The International Labour Organization was founded in 1919 under the League of Nations, and it is one of the oldest specialized agency of the United Nations. Members of the organization. Currently, this organization has 187 permanent members, in which 186 of the 193 are the members of the United Nations, and one is the Cook Islands. Let me clear that the Cook
So 186 nations combined together to respect our rights. The indigenous rights is under it. The International Labour Code is the United Nations specialized agency. The ILO set labor standard, develop policies, and devise program promoting decent work for all man and woman. The International Labour Organization was founded in 1919 under the League of Nations before it was changed to the United Nations. And they have 187 permanent members. So the other day, Officer Nibbles saw me on the road, and Officer Nibbles said to me, I don't want nothing else more than a state ID. I said to him, I'm a national. Him say, I need a state ID. You live in Indiana. and Indiana have their own code. I said, where is Indiana? Him saying that it's located in the United States of America. I said, the United States of America is a part of the United Nations? Yes. So it make up the 187 members. And 187 members, including the United States, signed off on the recognition of indigenous documents. That alone stopped him in his track. No, if I didn't know these things, I could not bring him to that. Because remember, these agents are banking on our ignorancy. They want to know that when they tell you something, you take it as law. And that is not law, it's a code, it's a status, it's an ordinance. They don't have nothing more than that. But we don't know the law. So Officer Nibbles can put on a serious face in a clown suit and take your rights away. Let us continue.
Cook Islands is not the member of the United Nations. Only 7 countries are not members of this organization, and they are Andorra, Bhutan, Liechtenstein, Monaco, Micronesia, Nauru, and North Korea.
So all of us live in areas that they are signed off on the ILO, right? We agree? I don't know when I live in North Korea, none of them place there.
Yeah.
Yes. So when you're standing up for your rights, remember the 187 other nation that is standing with you when you're declaring your right. And remember, it is not the agent that we go for, it's the principle.
The headquarters of this organization is situated in Geneva, Switzerland. Now let's discuss the objectives of this organization. The main objectives of the International Labour Organization are to set and promote standards, fundamental principles, and rights at work, to create greater opportunities for women and men, to decent employment and income. The other one is to enhance the coverage and effectiveness of social protection for all. And the last one is to strengthen tripartism and social dialogue. Now let's discuss how this organization works to achieve its goals. In support of its goals, the ILO offers unmatched expertise and knowledge about the world of work. It serves its purpose in a variety of ways as formulation of international policies and programs to promote human rights, improve working conditions, and
Yeah, anybody saw that boundary formulation of international policies and program to promote human rights. So this is an international document, the International Labor Organization. We have to get familiar with the codes. I'm going to go into the codes so we can chop them down and you can know them. But I want you to know the importance of this international organization, that our indigenous, away from our surrender slash treaty, these 2 articles are what we can use to demand our rights. Okay.
enhance employment opportunities, creation of international labor standards, and providing training, education, and research activities to help advance all these efforts and put these policies into practice in an effective manner. That's it for now. We will come back with a different topic. And if you want to learn and practice questions of other subjects, such as its International Labor Organization,
Everybody get this is your bucketive. If you want to be powerful, you study this piece of article, the ILO. We have it on our page. We have the full article on our website for when the chiefs they come on board, they can use that to study. One of the first thing we ask everybody here to do is study the International Labor ILO. You need to study it with the UCC. Is there any question pertaining to the topic that we're talking about? All right. All right. When we do that, we will have more ammunition at our disposal. I think I had something here also. Don't want to go too tough into it, but I have one thing that I'm going to play, and it is pertaining to Kenya. Hold on, but I'm going to play one more piece because these information. Please go back in the classroom and do the necessary, and go revise whatever I am saying here. It's for us to go and revise it. All right, don't take it from me. The secret of the Federal Reserve.
Because they tell you a different side. They tell you something. So I really like to read books because they tell you a different side. They tell you something that maybe you weren't told about. But it's interesting when you get into the Federal Reserve, you realize that the Federal Reserve runs the economy. They increase the interest rates and tank the economy whenever they feel like. And we get into Social Security, income tax, and good old Karl Marx. That's where Social Security came from. Then someone's like, what do you mean all the parties are taking over and complete control of the policy based on the Federal Reserve? Look at that. This is a great one, too. The sudden death of 1928 leads to the Great Depression by bankers. President of Banker Trust. People might ask, well, who runs it all? The Rothschilds, the Lazards, the Loebs, Warburgs, Lehmans, Goldman Sachs, Rockefeller family, and check that, J.P. Morgan. All books like this came out and they burned them. Why is your country at war? Woodrow Wilson ordered government agents to seize and to destroy the printing plates and copies of this book in the spring of 1918. Wonder why that is. You got this fun one. The price of gold is set by the Rothschilds. We go to the Rothschilds and their plan of action. These are 10 steps to destabilize economies and create, interesting, a new world order under one government. Remember in Germany when they arrested the Rothschilds? You get into the Bolshevik Revolution. Remember that whole thing? Orchestrated by bankers, this banker specifically. And then we go to who has stock in the Federal Reserve. Look at the names. You might know a couple of them. There's a couple more. And they're all connected to the Rothschilds and the Bank of England. So I really like.
Yeah, who control our destiny? Yeah, money wise. These
like to read books because
these people have been manipulating us for quite a while. Everything falls into place, because if these people who operate the banks, they make the codes and give it out to the outsourcing of the agents, and then the agents now go and act on that code. I hope I'm making sense, brothers and sisters. All right, I got two more pieces to share with you before we come to a closure of today's presentation. But this was pertaining to our post office situation that we were asked about. I wanted to play it. I think it was James was asking. Was it James? Was it you were asking about the post office situation as to how to operate and do your mail? They're saying you can. I told you already about sending mails to 3 cents, but I'm going to just elaborate on this other thing that I want to present. This is about the post office, brothers and sisters.
It belongs to me. Do you go and show up and say you're me? No, you can't do that. So if a private nonprofit corporation sends you a document and you have no contract with them, why should you go up and debate the contract? Because if you don't have a contract, right? If you don't have a contract, you don't have a contract. It's as simple as that. You don't need to go there and say all that. Just say, because here's my status and this and that and the other. right? Don't go in there trying to debate whether you owe money on the contract or not. The bill was too high and all that. If you don't have the contract, why are you discussing the bill? It doesn't make sense, does it? First, you have to have a contract. So the first thing you need to understand when you walk in there, I don't care what the issue is. Here's the question. Do we have a contract? However, if you're not comfortable and you happen to get off your square and you get the ticket and you have to go to court, that's the first thing you have to say. I don't have a contract. And all of these courts, because they are corporations, the only type of policy they can deal with is contract policy, not contract law, contract policy. If the state comes in and says you're not treating your children right and we want to take them, right? The first thing you have to say is, state, do I have a contract that says I gave my children to you? Did I, at what point, produce the contract? Produce the contract. If you send me a bill, and understand that if you belong to the corporate board state, you can't make these arguments because you do have a contract, which is the birth certificate, which is the marriage license, which a marriage license is your contract, is the woman's contract with the state and the man.
Anybody hear the boundary there a while ago? Anybody heard what she said a while ago about you having a contract with the state?
Yes, she said you have a contract, your birth certificate.
Yeah.
Okay, so what we're doing now is called a status change. That is when we change the name codes and status. So when you change your status now from a citizen to a national, that is when you can ask, do we have a contract? Show me the contract on the Nyankopong that we have. Because I am claiming Nyankopong. What are you claiming? The government name? Well, I'm the executive of that estate that you gave to me. That is your property, because you ask for that property? No, you didn't. That was given to you. So any benefits that come from it, you will take it. And anything that they're trying to attach to you as the obligation, that is a contract. You don't have one with them.
Right, and as the question asked, right? If we said, do we have a contract with you? We would not have a contract with them because then we have the Nyankopong. Right, yeah.
That is your. Anytime they ask for identification, that's what you give to them. If they want state citizen ID, that is not a compulsory. That is not who you identify with. They give you that identity. So you're going to take it and use it to the best of your ability. You're going to make benefits from it. And it's a hassle. You don't need it. That's why you're a national. All right.
Man's contract with the state. It's not a contract between the man and the woman. Never was, never will be. Unless you have a prenuptial agreement or something else, you don't have a marriage contract. So the first thing you must ask is what? Do we have a contract? And if the answer is no, then I'm here under threat, duress, and coercion. You are violating my rights. It's as simple as that. You have no other reason to be there. Does that make sense? Okay.
The original intent and purpose of all courts was to elicit justice from the decisions rendered. There were civil courts and criminal courts created to deal with separate areas of jurisdiction. Criminal acts as well as civil disputes were tried in common law courts. Common law is a trial by jury, with the jury establishing the law of the case and the punishment. The judge in a common law trial was simply in the courtroom to make sure the proper papers were presented to the jury. The jury had all of the power in the courtroom, and no common law decision could ever be overturned by the judge or by another court. All other courts were to be inferior to the common law court, including the Supreme Court. The courts allowed by the constitutions dealt mainly with contracts and commerce among corporations or disputes between living souls and corporations. State courts are the only courts that have criminal jurisdiction over crimes committed by living souls against other living souls, and they only have jurisdiction over the inhabitants of their state. This is why Title 42 cases do not work in federal court, as only state courts can try a criminal case. Federal courts were never given the power to try criminal cases involving any of the people of the
Wow. Only
Title 42.
only state courts alone. That's why when you ask the judge, what kind of court is this, Your Honor? Is this a federal? Is it a criminal? Yo, you have all, and this is how you know the judges them don't have the jurisdiction. Because a federal judge, the federal is not a lawful entity. It's a private entity. So how can it be a federal judge? Your conflict of interest. So all of these things we're going to study, because what she's explaining to a while ago is the difference of, and I always started out is laws and codes and regulation. Three different word, three different terminology, but as far as the federal go, then tie up everything in a one.
states except treason, sedition, and counterfeiting the coin of the U.S. Other than those three crimes, federal jurisdiction is only good within U.S. territories and possessions. United States territories and possessions do not include the 50 sovereign republics. There are only 5 crimes that the federal corporate government can take criminal action against, and these crimes are restricted to federal reservations over which the federal government has exclusive
Federal what? Reservation.
5 crime to the federal reservation.
And I want to say something. The word reservation, do not take it simple, because the word reservation is also attached to native, Indian. And if the federal judge have jurisdiction, that's why our wording are important. Because if you notice, they keep telling you, when I went to Western Union, them say, if I don't have the word Indian, I am not native. Who made that? Who made that regulation? And that's not law. That's regulation right there, right?
Yes, Western Union regulation.
All right. And Western Union is over the law or under the law?
Under the law.
Under the law. So your regulation is under the law. Your code is under the law. And it's against the law to discriminate. So therefore, when you're going to tell me that I have to identify as an Indian, and an Indian is owned by the federal government.
You use the term just now, under the law. In Jamaica, they come up with this thing, under the law, and they're telling the people what they should do and not do under the law. When I go back there, I must listen to hear these things that they say now.
Jamaica don't have laws, it have codes. Jamaica don't have a constitution.
It's not saying they're fooling the people by coming under under the law.
Yeah,
And
because this is how the corporation get control of us, by domesticating us, by repeating something over and over and over, that it becomes the normal.
Yeah. And with the Indian mention, years ago when I used to send letters back home, if you don't put WI, which mean West Indian, it could end up in America, Jamaica, America. So we do have Indian when Western Union is saying to you, if you don't have the word Indian, he referred to as Jamaica, WI.
No, Indian is a terminal, is like sir. Sir and Mrs., those acronyms have meaning. So when them say you are Indian, they're not saying that you're an Indian as in a product. Anybody who identify as like Jamaica, if you identify as a Jamaican, you're a Jamaican product. You're a product of Jamaica. You've heard this before. So this is how the terminologies now go. That's why when you're filling out a form, you have black, white, Chinese. Is there any such thing as white people? No. But people still tick the box and say they're white. That's ignorancy. Is there anything as black people know? Because there's not. Is there? All right, you have China to the Chinese, right? India to the Indian, right? With the black land there for black people. Is there an island named Black People Island or a continent named Black People Continent? No. So you do not have a jurisdiction when you tick on those things. You're a dead entity.
These
Okay?
are done deliberately.
Yes, to take
There's
you
nobody
out of your
challenging it.
jurisdiction. So you do not have any ownership. Let's finish up. Hold on.
Jurisdiction needs 5R: espionage, sabotage, interference with the mails, destruction of federal property, or frauds on the federal government. Federal courts assume criminal jurisdiction when the magistrate asks the defendant at the arraignment if the defendant understands the charges against him, or, "Do you stand under the charges against you?" And the defendant answers yes. The magistrate is asking, "Are you accepting the charges?" Always say no, because this is an offer of contract from the court to place you under criminal jurisdiction. Charges and complaints are always against corporations and contract violation.
So the minute you enter a plea, you're giving them authority to put them in you are in jurisdiction. You notice a man who went to, when you go to the court and you don't plea, what the next thing them have to do? Let me take
Extend
you.
it.
No.
And keep extending it.
Appeal.
No. To take you out of your jurisdiction, you have to be a mad individual. So they will order a psychological evaluation. Didn't you see what they tried to do with the emperor? The emperor tell them to go with a psychological evaluation. But I don't know. Because the minute you do these things, it's building a case against your estate of unsound mind. You're not thinking straight. You cannot. Their whole persona is to make you become a minor. You're a minor. That means that you cannot take responsibility of your estate. And that is why we emphasize on the affidavit and the notice, because when they try to make it seem like you're talking bullshit, you can draw for your references. I have to climax this because I want to go cook. Well, let me finish this so we can.
Living souls or nationals cannot contract with a corporation. Living souls or nationals can only bring claims against each other, and these claims are to be tried in common law courts. Unfortunately, the court systems began changing in 1926. With the creation of rules, regulations, and codes that were signed by the Congress, the President, and the BAR British Accredited Regency, the bar was creating its own private administrative procedures for corporations. Thus, the bar supplanted the judicial system. Remember, rules, regulations, and codes are not law. They are an abrogation of the law, and only corporations are subject to them. In 1946, the Administrative Procedures Act forever changed the course of government for the American people. Roosevelt called it the fourth branch of government. This act brought all branches of government and municipalities, except for the counties, under administrative codes, rules, and regulations. This in reality established each branch and municipality, which are mere corporations, as an independent nation, with each having their own codes, rules, and regulations. All corporations make up their own rules. Laws are established by the legislature through the passage of bills signed into law by the legislature and the governor-president. These laws must not abrogate the rights of the people or the supreme law of the land.
Yeah, I'm going to put this inside the classroom for reference, so you can go through it. Any question?
Rules, regulation, and corporations. They're not laws.
Yes, please study this, and this is why I say to you,
The
Lord,
only law is common law. No, yeah, see that?
we have all of the answers right here, and once we try to dissect it, we will understand it more. As I said a while ago, corporations and making regulations are not law. But
Not
because, no, because they've polluted the place and make it seem like these things are laws. So we have to dissect it. I hope that we thought so, a bit more. Remember, you must also follow up on your studies. Don't just come to class and say, well, yes, we're gonna wait until class. Wisdom cries out in the street. It's in our hand. Sometimes if you think about it, it will just appear to you immediately. Your mind is a terrible thing to waste. All right. So with that being said,
We shall
we
be.
shall be. Until tomorrow.
Shall we?
Shall be.
Oh.
The world is a troubled place. We must find time to save the human race. Love, unity, and empathy has no place among the human race. In this transition, when we live in love and harmony and show respect with unity, only love can set us free to fight injustice wherever it be. Just said the hungry must be fed, but man can't live by only bread. We have the future in our hands. Let's take the trot to the promised land. Jamaica, Ethiopia, America, calling, Nyankopong, calling.